So today we'll take up geography in the program, where we'll be talking about resource distribution of primary, secondary, and other things. Along with that, next 3 days we'll be focusing on first. We'll see today the primary, secondary industries where they are distributed in the world, and then we'll see where you have actually the geophysical phenomena, earthquakes, landforms, and others which are present in different parts of the world. Because if you take any book, they usually give you information only with respect to like the general climatology, geomorphology, and all. But this particular portion is not available much. And second important thing, mostly students feel that it is you need to by heart to remember where which minerals are there and where you have the primary and where you have the secondary. So to ensure that you are in a position to understand where you have different things, first what we all have to observe is whenever we talk about whether it's primary, secondary or so, let us begin by differentiating them. Okay, so first important thing is in agriculture when we talk, if we talk with respect to government, economy and all, agriculture comes as different, mining and industries comes differently. But in geography, we try to consider primary as both agriculture and mining, right? As agriculture and mining comes together, first let us see within agriculture which are the different forms that are present in different parts of the world. For that, we should try to divide countries into developed, developing, and you have least developed. The reason for this is whenever we are talking about developed country, let me say you have a grassland. In a developed country, if you have a grassland, what is the benefit? What type of agriculture do they usually try to do? So even if I'm talking about cattle, okay, so dairying, so what will be done in the developed country? Will it be technologically advanced, less number of people, more sheeps, rearing, grazing and all? They have huge lands, so what they do, they take up lands in that they grow and then they go for poultry, or we talk about rearing and all. But when it comes to developing and least developed, usually you will see nomadic herding, correct? So is this the basic difference between these two? In India, have you heard of any place where you have nomadic herding? Where do you have? Northeastern region? They have in Jammu Kashmir, Rajasthan, you see. Yes. In dry regions of the world, usually nomadic herding is there whenever these dry regions are associated with developing and least developed countries. This is fine. But if the same area is present in a developed country, we usually see cattle ranching, or we also see extreme technological forms where poultry and others will be there. Now, given this case, I want you people to see this is the first basic. Before this, what people used to do? Hunting and food gathering, correct? Hunting and food gathering was common. Today, is there any place in the world where you have hunting and food gathering? Okay, I'll ask you, in this class we should try to see every region, and in that region what will be present. For that, I want you to divide that region into three. One is whether it is developed, least developing, or what. What is the status of their technological development? Okay. Third important thing, you have to see whether it is a tropical country, temperate, or equatorial. These are the three things you have to identify. So first, where do you usually see hunting? Hunting won't be seen in deserts and others. Everywhere hunting takes place, But normally hunting as an occupation, can I say mostly occurs in the equatorial region? Yes. So wherever you have equatorial evergreen forests, can we have what we call as hunting and food gathering? Yes or no? So that is the primitive stage. Even before shifting cultivation, you have hunting and food gatherers. Where are these hunting and food gatherers present? If I talk about equator, right? You know that equator passes through South America. Yes. And this is the region where you have Amazon. Correct? And then in Africa, the same region, you have Congo Basin. In Asia, the region, usually Indonesia, Philippines, all these regions usually have what we call as equatorial evergreen forest. So if UPSC asks you first question, hunting and food gathering. So or if it is in general, if they talk about different levels of agricultural development in different parts of the world. So first you can begin with hunting and food gathering where it doesn't take much time. You just need to specify that Amazon basin, Congo basin and the evergreen forest present in the Southeast Asia. Okay, equatorial evergreen forest. So do you get rainfall throughout the year in this region? Do you get? So we usually call it as 4 o'clock rainfall as well. Correct. So is there any agriculture? Okay, what type of countries are these? In South America, are these developed, developing? Can we call they are developing? In Africa, they are least developed. What about here? Again developing. So as it is developing and least developed, you do not have much technological progress in this region. So we do not observe lumbering industries or other significantly in this region as well. Is this fun? So on the on the basis of the economic development of a country, we are in a position to say which activities will be present in this region. Now I told you the first basic thing, that is food gathering and all. The second important thing, the human evolution shows us that we have shifting cultivation, right? So where will you have shifting cultivation? First talk about India so that you can talk about the world as well. Where do you have shifting cultivation in India? Northeast. Any other place? You have it in Western Ghats, Odisha, whether it is moist deciduous forest, whether it is evergreen forest or northeast wet evergreen forest, you usually find shifting cultivation. Shifting cultivation is associated with the forests present mostly in the tropical regions today. Because if you move to temperate regions, you have United States, Europe and other countries which are usually developed. So shifting cultivation is mostly associated with this region. Can you tell me, within the world, where do you have evergreen forests? Like where you have rainfall throughout the year? Is it only equator? Is it only equator? You have two low pressure areas. Which are the two low pressure areas? One is the equatorial low pressure area, another one is subpolar low pressure area, correct? So subpolar means we are talking about 50 to 60 degree. So 50 to 60 if I am talking, I will talk about Canada. Is it developed? I will talk about Scandinavian countries, Siberia and others. Is it developed? Yes. What about this region? This is not developed. So you will find shifting cultivation mostly associated in this region. So where again shifting cultivation is predominant in Amazon, Congo and this. But along with this, you might have heard of marine type of climate. What is the meaning of marine type of climate? What is the significance of marine type of climate? Yes? No, marine. That is Mediterranean type of climate. Rainfall? Yeah. Why? Local winds will marine influence wherever you have oceans and all, but rather than that, world climate is on the basis of winds that usually blow. You know that in the southern hemisphere you have southeast trade winds, right? So can I say, if I'm talking about southeast trade winds, they are blowing from sea to land on the eastern side, and they are blowing from land to sea on the western side. Where do they get rainfall? Eastern side. So can I say this part is marine? They are moving from sea to land. Here you will have dry. So this is not the region. This is the region. And northeast trade winds blow. So northeast trade winds also give rainfall to the eastern side. You take the case here, right? So we have two regions. One is even this. So where do you have shifting cultivation? Shifting cultivation is in two regions. One is the equatorial evergreen forest. You find shifting cultivation. Second important region is marine climatic influences. Wherever you observe marine climatic influences, especially due to northeast and southeast trade winds. So where are these? These are usually present in eastern side of the continents. And also, can you see islands? Just imagine you have an island. So if, like, wind blows in any direction, do they get rainfall? Yes, because island east-west extension is less. So we say marine climatic conditions. Where are they present? They are present on the eastern side of the continents between 30 degrees south to 30 degrees north. Second important thing, islands are the region where you have marine type of climate. So in these two regions, along with equatorial evergreen forest, we observe what we call as shifting cultivation is predominantly present in this region. Is this fine? So after seeing this, you have third important type in the world where I will call it as tropical crops. You saw nomadic in this, and then we'll talk about the tropical crops. Tropical crops means, any example? Tropical crops, rice, sugarcane. Okay, can you give example of kharif crops? Cotton. Cotton. Can I say? Can I take at least these three? Rice, sugarcane, cotton. Yes. So can you tell where will rice grow in the world? Will it grow in Canada? Will it grow in, like, Russia and other parts? Where can you see them? Tropical region, that is within the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So can you grow wheat in evergreen wherever you have excess rainfall throughout the year? Why? Yeah, what I'm trying to say is, can you grow rice in equatorial region? Does it has the temperature? Temperature? Does it has required rainfall? Can you grow? You go to Sri Lanka and many other countries, there also rice is grown. So paddy can be cultivated where you have good rainfall and good temperature as well. Temperature has to be usually more. So between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, we usually observe rice being grown. Okay, in the world, if I'm talking, so can you see Mexico is the region which is present in the tropical. So in this region, you will see paddy cultivation. Okay, and then if we talk about, like, South America, the Brazil, Venezuela, these are the regions where you usually find rice cultivation. And Africa, like, you observe in this region. But if you see Africa in this region, we usually divide, this is the equatorial part. But this is your Sudan type of climate or savanna grasslands. There you do not have rainfall much. So you can't grow rice in this region. Okay, first I want you, that's why I was trying to tell you, you should know the rainfall pattern and others. So what we are trying to see here is equatorial region is the one where in Africa there is possibility of paddy cultivation. And then when we are talking about India, do you have paddy cultivation? China? This part of China, the southern part of China, do you have paddy cultivation? Indonesia, Philippines and all, will you have paddy cultivation? Yes. So, some northern part of Australia and all, you can go for paddy cultivation. Not much, but some parts you will have paddy cultivation. Can you tell? Two reasons for paddy cultivation is it requires temperature, so it should be present within the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Second important thing we need to talk about this is rainfall. So rainfall should be there throughout the year, or at least you should get very good rainfall for the rice to be grown. In India, when do you get rainfall? When do you get rainfall? Southwest monsoons? Time? So can we say it is usually a kharif crop? Yes. Now divide India into two, southern part and northern part. If you see 23.5 degree and below, can I call it as tropical region? In India, 23.5 passes below that. Can I call it as tropical? Above that, can I call it as temperate or subtropical? Yes. Within India, what happens? Southern part, peninsula, any time you can grow rice. Whether it is summer, winter or Zaid, any time you can usually grow rice. What is the reason? What is the difference between tropical and temperate? That's what I was just asking you. What is the basic difference between tropical and temperate? Yeah, so temperature difference, yes, but when? Winter temperatures are usually more than 18 degrees Celsius in the tropical regions. Winter temperature will be very less in the temperate regions. So can you grow paddy in UP in winter? Can you? Can you grow paddy in winter in Tamil Nadu? Yes. So southern part of India, that is tropical region, three times in a year you can grow rice. But when we talk about North India, especially Punjab and other parts, usually summer is the time when rice is grown. Winter is the time when wheat is usually grown in this region. So when we talk, can you tell Punjab, Haryana, when do they get rainfall? I'm talking about normal rainfall. Do they get more rainfall in summer or they get good rainfall during winter? So Rabi crop is predominant in that region. So rice and sugarcane, which is grown in UP and Punjab, Haryana, this region, people are now saying that they are water intensive crops. And the dams whichever is constructed in this part, that is temperate region, are using mostly for the are using for the kharif crops. Does paddy require water? Does sugarcane require water? They are water intensive crops. But in rest of India, wherever you go for irrigation, you grow usually rabi crops. You don't grow kharif crops. Do you understand? Rabi crops doesn't take much water. So irrigation in other parts of India is easy because they go for less water consuming crops and you can divert them. But in Punjab, Haryana region, usually what do they grow? Paddy and sugarcane. And whenever you grow paddy and sugarcane, they consume more water. Groundwater level and others, dams and others, are usually polluting the nature in this part of India, mainly because excessive use of water for rice and sugarcane is done. So now scientists are saying that to ensure that in India water crisis is prevented, we should have crops, rice and sugarcane variety itself, which can consume less water, so that the kharif season in this region will not be affected. That is, like when we are talking about Punjab, Haryana, we can't stop them from producing the rice and all because today they are giving food security to the entire country. So if food security has to be ensured, you need to go for these crops, but water consumption has to be reduced. I hope you get the difference, right? So in the world, first we saw what we call as evergreen forests or equatorial region. Here you will observe nomadic farming, you will observe shifting cultivation, and then you will also observe growth of tropical crops. If I am talking about tropical crops, first important tropical crop is paddy. Second important tropical crops is sugarcane. Can you tell me, in Brazil, which side I showed you have rainfall? Eastern or western side? Eastern. So is Brazil on the eastern side? Does Brazil grow sugarcane? Sugar, one of the largest producers. Can you see Cuba, Caribbean countries? Do they grow sugarcane? Yes. Do you recollect in Caribbean islands, usually Indian origin people are present more. Indian indentured laborers were taken to the countries between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn for sugarcane cultivation. So Indian diaspora, if we see, they are present in this region. Right? For what? Sugarcane cultivation. And then, do you have sugarcane cultivation, like if you see Tropic of Cancer, it comes till here. Sorry, Tropic of Capricorn, it comes till here, 30 degree if you take, right? Not 23 and a half, I'm talking about 30 degree, right? So 30 degree north to 30 degrees south. If you see South Africa and other regions, where Indians present? Mauritius, are Indians present? Seychelles, right? So you talk about the countries in the region. In almost all these countries, we will find sugarcane cultivation. So where? Here you can find, here you can find here, Africa. In India, is sugarcane grown? Yes. So, and again, Philippines, Fiji, these are the islands where you get sugarcane cultivation in the world. And wherever sugarcane cultivation is there, and where Britishers and others ruled, we usually observe Indian indentured laborers, and today Indian population is also significantly present in this region. Is this fine? So I'm talking about the third point, that is sugarcane. Next, can you tell where is coffee grown? What are the conditions for coffee? Have you heard of coffee in US, grown in US? Have you heard of coffee in Brazil? Yes. In African countries? Best chocolates, cocoa and others. India, yes. So we usually say it's a tropical crop again. Okay, so where it is usually grown on the leeward, like wherever you have the sunshine, usually they grow on the other side. So if this is a mountain, right, usually it avoids the direct sunshine also. It will be present on the back. You might have seen it will be like dark but shade loving plant. So coffee is grown in Brazil, in Africa, and also in this region. So in exam, when they ask you, they may ask you generally where in the world you have paddy cultivation, and they may link it with climate change. Like why? Wherever paddy cultivation is there, methane is emitted more from the paddy fields. So linking to that, they may ask you. Second, when they ask you about Indian indentured laborers or diaspora, they may ask you where are sugarcane cultivation, or like in the world, where is sugarcane cultivation present more. So whenever I say tropical, right, so try to include equatorial region as well within that. Is this fine? So coffee, sugarcane and paddy, these three are the most important crops that we need to observe. Is this fine? Then fourth important thing which is useful for industries is cotton. Okay, fourth important thing which is useful for industries is cotton. Why? Wherever cotton is grown, you have textiles present in that region. Textile industries will come up in that region. Cotton textile industry and cotton growing has two different features. The one important feature is whenever you grow cotton, it requires a dry climate. Correct? Why? If it becomes wet, it would be very difficult to remove the fibers and all. But if it is dry, usually you can separate them easily, threading and all will be easier. So if we see in the world, on the windward side, you usually get good rainfall. But on the leeward side of the mountains, you get very less rainfall. And can you grow cotton in a cool climate? You want to grow in tropical climate itself? So again, cotton is grown within the tropics. Second important thing, they are grown on the leeward side of the areas, not on the windward side. Okay, so we have to identify two things. One, can cotton be grown in evergreen forests? Why? If you get rainfall throughout the year, it's of no use. So it's not grown in the evergreen. So this is an exemption. When we talk about tropics, within the tropics, evergreen is the region which is avoided for cotton. But if you see above and below, we usually have cotton. That is, if we take 10 degree north to 30 degree north and 10 degrees south to 30 degrees south, you have cotton. So for that, we need to see, do you recollect you have Appalachian mountains in this region? Yes. So on the leeward side of the Appalachian mountains, northeast trade winds blow, leeward side of the Appalachian mountains, cotton is usually grown. Okay, and then in Brazil, you have a Brazilian highland here. No, it's a plateau. On the leeward side of the Brazilian plateau, cotton is grown. Not everywhere, not closer to equator, but just below it. In Africa, right, do you have best cotton growing fields anywhere? Can you have cotton growing in Africa? You don't have mountain ranges like Andes, Rockies or anything in Africa. Is it true? Do you have? Recollect any mountain ranges of Africa? You have Atlas Mountains here. Kilimanjaro and all are just you have small mountain peaks, like in a sense single mountain peaks. So you will not find in this region. But savanna, Do you recollect Sudan type of climate or savanna? Do they have less rainfall? Are they grasslands? So wherever they are there, like to some extent cotton can be grown, and that to introduce now, not earlier. And then India, where can you grow cotton? Gujarat region, because monsoon doesn't give much rainfall. Yes, mostly dry. You might have heard. Then do you have Western Ghats? So leeward side of Western Ghats, Telangana, North Karnataka, Maharashtra, right? Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh. So if you take Vindhyas, Satpuras, if you take Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, right? Within that, so Vindhyas and Satpuras, Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, in between this region, usually cotton is grown. Correct? Is cotton grown in Tamil Nadu? It is grown in the entire part of this. Okay, so is this fine? Coffee. Fourth is cotton. Fifth, can you talk about jute? Where is it present? Where? Bangladesh. What does jute require? Jute requires almost all the conditions similar to cotton, but requires heavy rainfall. Correct? So where it will be present? Where can jute be present? So in the world, usually it is South Asia, where you have India and Bangladesh, where you have jute predominance. Pakistan, guys, you tell me, is cotton grown or in Pakistan jute grown? Pakistan is an extension of the desert itself. So it's a dry climate. Usually cotton is grown. So we used to say that Mumbai is hub of textile industries. After independence, cotton growing areas went to Pakistan and industries were there in India. When we talk about jute, most of the jute growing were in Bangladesh and industries were present in India. So that was the basic thing. And second important thing with respect to cotton industries and this, cotton, well, it is growing, you don't require moisture. But when you make it into clothes or so, you require moisture. Else, if it's very hot, like it doesn't stick properly. The thread and all, it opens out. Like if moisture content is not enough, usually it opens up. At least we go for artificial moisture conditions for the cotton textile industries. So industries I'll come, but is this clear? Yes. So after this, after seeing this, within the region, right, you got jute. Within this region, you have grasslands as well. Within the tropical region, you have grasslands. So can you tell me what do you usually grow in the grasslands, in the tropical region? In the tropical region, can you name few grasslands? Any grassland in South America? They're all temperate grasslands. Have you heard of Campos, Llanos, Savanna, Australian Savanna? So where do you get? Here you have Guinea highlands. Beside that you have Llanos. Here you have Brazilian highland. Here you get Campos. Okay, so usually cattle, sheep less, cattle is more reared in this particular regions. Fine? And nomadic herding may also be observed because they are developing or least developed countries. In Africa, if you consider, this is the region where you have Sudan type of climate or savanna type of climate. So again, these are least developed countries. Nomadic herding and others are usually predominant in this region as well. And then when we talk about Australia, you have Great Dividing Range in Australia. And here, this is the 30° south. This is your temperate region. This is your tropical region. Winds usually blow like this. This is your windward side, and this is your leeward side. As it is leeward side, you get Australian savanna in this region. Is Australia developed or underdeveloped? Developed, but still, have you heard of a lot of tribal communities, ethnic groups present in Australia? Yes, those people in this region, they go for nomadic herding. Australia is a mix of both developed and underdeveloped. Why? Because if you talk about the tribal communities of Australia, Bindibu and many others, you might have heard of the Mowgli and other tribe who are present, right? Whoever are present in that region, they go for nomadic herding. Others usually, the Britishers and others who had settled down, they usually go for cattle ranching in huge acres of land. So Australia has both. It has both nomadic herding and also huge ranching. And today in the world, you can't say that only nomadic herding is there, because almost all the least developed countries are also aiming to become little bit advanced technologically and all. So because of that, we are ensuring that we are moving towards some sort of what we call as cattle ranching and others. Is this fine? So guys, we first completed evergreen region of the world. So next we tried to cover eastern parts of the continents where you have marine type of climate. Then we also saw monsoon type of climate. Fourth, we tried to see grasslands which are present. Fifth, you're all aware that on the, exactly at 30°, 20 to 30°, north or south, on the western side of the continents, you have deserts. Is it true? 20 to 30, on the western side of the continents, you have deserts. Why? You have offshore winds, high pressure, cold current. Because of these three reasons, can I say that you have deserts here? Which desert do you have here? Sonoran Mojave Desert, Atacama Desert, Namib Desert, Sahara Desert, Australia, Sandy Desert, Great Victoria Desert and others. Yes? Two things as you told me. One is the cold current which is present in this region, right? As cold current is present and these deserts are again more or less what we call as underdeveloped countries or least developed countries. So when we call these in Mexico and other region, right? Usually the western side, as cold currents are there, normally cold currents also upwell, right? So whenever the cold upwells, it is believed that in the polar regions, right, the water content, whenever it solidifies to become ice or so, the oxygen and other things which are trapped, they move down. And again they come towards the equator, and when they raise, they bring oxygen along with them, So usually upwelling of cold water, whenever it takes place, when you have a cycle from the polar regions, and if it is upwelling in the region, usually it brings oxygen. So wherever the oxygen content is present more, there is a possibility of good fishes being present. So as these people do not have any other means, because they can't grow for agriculture, so fishing is predominant in these regions. People's main activity is fishing in these regions. Is this fine? Especially the coastal states. Second important thing, God or nature has given them good resources as well. So if we talk about like the Sonoran or this part, Mexico, this region, usually you have silver. Silver is present. Second, uranium is present. Okay, and like Rocky Mountains, Andes Mountains. Just remember this: Rockies and Andes. We don't know whether it is because of the magma present inside or what, but normally in the entire region, copper is present more. Rocky Mountains, Andes Mountains. Usually we observe copper present more. Is this fine? Atacama Desert, like again, it is good in copper. Do you recollect Peru, El Nino? Yes. What do people in Peru usually do? Their activity is fishing, and you know that whenever El Nino occurs, warm water usually accumulates rather than cold water. Will it affect fishing? So they say that this has impact on their economy as well. Correct? Then what minerals are usually present in the Namibian region? You have gold, diamonds, right? Silver, gold, diamonds, platinum, everything is present in this. Uranium, silver, gold, diamonds. What about Sahara? Precious minerals that are present are on the coast of Sahara Desert. That is, if you talk about Algeria, like Tunisia, Libya and others, what minerals are present? Oil. Okay, oil is usually present. Agriculture wise, can you tell anything in the deserts? What is it good for? Dates? Yes. Is it exported? When that market is huge, like the dry fruits and others, even that market is huge. So normally we don't consider that as a biggest one, but we try to say that they have good minerals. So mining and others. See guys, normally deserts are the regions where people do not stay. Population is least. But wherever within the desert population are there, mostly they are present closer to the minerals. So geographically, why deserts are important for us is for mineral exploration. Okay, from the resources point of view, deserts are important because of mineral exploration. South Africa, why did Britishers go? Minerals. Along with that, they grew sugarcane and others. What about Australia? What do you get? Western part of Australia is rich in iron, uranium, gold, normally believed that wherever you have this desert or dry regions, like comparatively uranium content is present in these regions. No, uranium is present in this, except Sahara region, like mostly in other parts, uranium is present. Is this done? So we covered 30° north to 30° south. So where, as I clearly told you, evergreen, marine, monsoon, grasslands, and then you have deserts, right? So after this, let us see 30 to 45, okay? 30 to 60, that is temperate climate. 30 to 60, but this has to be divided into 30° to 45°. I'll erase this. We talk about temperate region, 30 to 60 degree. North America, do you have developed or underdeveloped? Both Canada and United States. What about Europe, guys? Are they developed? Yes. What about, like, if you just move, do you have China and others? Are they developed? Only on the western part of Asia, you have Eastern Europe and West Asia, you have little bit less developed countries. But mostly on the other side, can I say you have developed countries? Yes. And within this, we try to divide it into 30 to 45 degree and 45 to 60 degree. Okay, first I'll finish off 45 to 60 degree. 45 to 60 usually is a region of low pressure. Correct? Shifting of pressure belts and all, if you consider, this is a region of low pressure. This is a region where you have fronts. I'm not going to the basics, I'm explaining you with your geographical basics itself. Which is the frontal zone of the world? Where are fronts usually seen? What are fronts? When two air masses usually meet in opposite direction. Different characteristics if they meet in opposite direction. Usually you get fronts. And if the fronts intensifies, we get cyclones. And you know that temperate cyclones width is usually like thousands of kilometers, mainly because air masses wherever they meet, you get it. And you know that temperate cyclones occur on both land and water. Tropical cyclones require only water. So given all these conditions, if you have fronts and cyclones, low pressure, can I say you get rainfall throughout the year? More or less throughout the year you get rainfall? Yes. Like western side, you have westerly winds, that is it blows like this. The meaning of this is it blows like this. Okay. Normally, generalize this, don't try to recollect specifically. Try to say that, like if we are talking from rainfall point of view, 45 to 60 is the region which receives rainfall more or less throughout the year. Because of this, we call this region to be very good for coniferous forest. Have you seen? Yes. What is the forest name geographically? Huh? Taiga. Where is it present? This region and this region. As it is present in the taiga, right? It is cool as well, correct? 45 to 60 is cool. Cool, low pressure region, taiga forests are grown. Usually they are soft wood. Usually they are softwood. So if you have softwood, paper and pulp industries are usually present in this region. Okay. So can you say the difference between low pressure regions in the world, two low pressure regions, and how are they economically different? If they ask you a question like this, what will you answer? What are the two low pressure areas? Equatorial and subpolar. How are they economically different? Can I say equatorial region, you usually have least developed countries, whereas in the subpolar low pressure area, what do you have? Developed countries. Then usually as you have hardwood in this region, nomadic, like hunting and food gathering, shifting cultivation is predominant. And if they ask you why industries are not very well developed in this region, especially the lumbering industries are not very well developed, they are hardwood forests. Usually cutting the forests and transporting them is very, very difficult. So what do you usually do? You cut them and you put it into the water and then you take it out and then it is exported. Usually lumbering industries are not present in the equatorial regions. Wood is directly exported outside. Furniture and all. Will you import furniture or will you import wood? In India and other parts of the world. Do you see, wood is usually imported. They say that this is Burma wood or so, and they will be making it. So usually we try to say that these people cannot have industries mainly because transportation is difficult. Like, excessive of like evergreen forests will not allow sunshine and others to be there. And even if you go for roads and all, like, movement is very difficult. So the only way you can move is through waterways. And once it comes to the port, mostly it is exported directly. So they are export oriented, especially raw material exports. Remember guys, when do you call a country to be developed? When they export finished goods. If you are exporting raw materials, you can't call a country to be developed. You take India. India exports largest iron ore. Like, we can't call India as a developed country until and unless we start exporting steel. Do you understand the difference? So here we usually say 45 to 60, all these conditions are there. So, and you have developed countries present in this region. As developed countries are present and softwood is there, you go for paper and pulp industries in this region. And some sort of like, lumbering activities are also done here. So UPSC question was, why do you observe lumbering industries not very well developed in the tropical evergreen forest? So do you understand? You have to talk about economic development as well, the level of economic development of a country as well. Is this clear? And then next, let us take 30 to 45. Is 45 to 60 clear? Geographically and economically, you will be talking only about this. 30 to 45, how do you differentiate? I'll divide it into 3. (30 to 45), I'll divide it into western part, middle and eastern. Okay. Normally 30 to 45 has, like, if you talk about winter, equinox and summer. Okay, winter, equinox and summer. Winter predominantly westerlies are present. 30 to 45, winter predominantly westerly winds blow. Equinox, westerlies will blow. Equinox means 30 to 60 is westerlies. Summer, northeast trade winds will blow. Do you get 3 things? Winter westerlies, equinox westerlies, summer northeast trade winds. I'll just ask about the western part first. If I just consider, I'll draw here. If I just consider the continent, how does westerlies blow? So can I say it blows like this? Is this your western part? Is this your eastern part? So can you tell me winter, Will the western part get rainfall? Yes. What about eastern part? No rainfall. So can I write that? Winter season, western part, rainfall. Eastern part, no rain. Can you talk about summer? Can you tell summer? Which winds are blowing? Northeast trade winds. Can you tell where do you get rainfall? Eastern, eastern side you get rainfall. Western side, no rainfall. So can I say summer, western side, no rainfall. Eastern side, is this fine? Normally, in the middle, you have grasslands in this region. I'll come to this. As east-west extension is more, usually, like by the time the moisture comes here, they won't have much water with them. So I'll come to that. And they are also on the leeward side of the mountains and others. See guys, in this, you tell me, when does India get rainfall? Summer or winter? India gets rainfall in summer. Do we call it as Indian monsoons? Summer. Winds blow from where to where? No, normally you tell me, if you have land and water, summer or day, winds should blow from where to where? Sea to land? Why? Land is hot, means low pressure. Water is cool, means high pressure. So air will blow from high pressure to low pressure, that is sea to land. Then are you getting rainfall in eastern part during summer? Yes. So we call it as Chinese monsoons. In the Indian region we call it as Indian monsoons. In the China region we call it as Chinese monsoons. 30 to 45 temperate region, do you have what? Rainfall in summer? Yes. In summer, if you get rainfall, can you grow paddy? Can you grow rice? So, can I say Delhi in summer, temperature is about 40-45 degrees? Can they grow rice? Can Punjab, Haryana and others grow rice? Yes. So, what we say, China in the temperate region, 30 to 45. On the eastern side, can you grow paddy? Yes. Don't think paddy is grown only in the tropical. That's the reason we keep telling only word is always wrong. Mostly is correct. Only is wrong. Why? Because sun's rays will in summer will be over where? 23.5 degree north. When it is at 23.5 degree north, usually the portions above that will also be warmer. So because of that, we usually observe on the eastern side, we can grow what we call as paddy. So paddy, Trump, Bush and others used to say, one of the major contributor to pollutants is not the industries of North America, but paddy fields of China and India. You understand? China and India, the paddy fields. So, like you have monsoon climate, where two regions. We call it as tropical monsoons, we call it as temperate monsoons. Can you differentiate? If UPSC asks you, what is the difference between tropical monsoons and temperate monsoons? Tropical means first you write the regions. Can you tell which are the regions where you have tropical monsoons? India, Southeast Asia, some parts of Australia, right? These are the three regions where you have monsoons, tropical monsoons. Where do you have temperate monsoons? China, the same region here, the Gulf type we say, in the southern hemisphere, eastern side. So what you have to say, 30 to 45 degree. On the eastern side of the continents, we get temperate monsoons. Is this fine? So can you grow sugarcane? If water is there, temperature is there, you can grow sugarcane anywhere. UP also you can grow sugarcane, right? Even though the sucrose content is very less, you can grow if water is available. So that's temperature and water. These are the two conditions for that. So if that is available, they can. Then I want to ask you, what is on the western side, guys? When do you have rainfall? Winter or summer? So is there rainfall in summer? Predominantly what do you have? Winter rainfall. In winter, if you have rainfall, usually we go for viticulture. Like, orchids, all this, wine, grapes, oranges, all these are usually grown. Correct? So 30 to 45 on the western side. Which type of climate do you have? Mediterranean type of climate. What is grown in that region? Fruits and other things. Is this fine? Yes? Then in between what do you have? You saw 30 to 45. Western Mediterranean type, fruits are grown. Eastern monsoon type. So whatever is grown in India and other parts, it will be grown there also. Anything more than that? In between what do you have? I'll tell you first. You have Rocky Mountains. You have westerly winds, mostly. Can you tell which is windward and which is leeward? Leeward? Can you have grasslands in the leeward? Pampas, sorry, prairies. Prairies. So prairies in United States of America. So can you tell me, in US is developed or underdeveloped? Developed. So if you have prairies, will they go for nomadic herding? What do they do? One, the sheep rearing and all at huge areas. You might see cowboys and all, where you will have some dogs and all usually maintaining lot of sheep and all. So they try to unite them, they attack against if there is any other animals which try to poach and all. You can see all this. People are less. Number of people involved in agriculture is less. But through other means they are trying to continue this. Then, can I tell, wheat is grown in this region? Wheat cultivation, wheat granaries of the world is this. And for cattle, what do you usually give? Sheep and all, what do you usually give? Food. What? What is grown? So wheat, maize is usually grown in this part. Can you name some rabi crops in India? Wheat? Pulses? Pulses are there both in Kharif and Rabi. Have you seen barley and others? Yes? Where is it grown? These. See, first you should predominantly know few crops. World, if you see, that's enough. Predominantly, what are you seeing in the world? You're seeing wheat cultivation, maize cultivation. As these are grasslands, for sheep, cattle and others, usually they grow maize. And here, as it is leeward, you have both the things. One is, you have the meat cultivation or sheep and others. Second important thing is what? Wheat cultivation. Wherever you have grasslands, temperate grasslands, they are wheat granaries of the world. Is this fine? So can I tell, in the South America, you have Andes mountains. And how do the winds blow? Westerlies, they blow like this. So again, this is windward, this is leeward. So can you tell which grasslands are present here? Pampas are present. So what do you have in Pampas again? Argentina. Are these developed or least developed? Developing. No, they are in between. So what happens? You will have the properties of a least developed country like nomadic herding also, and you will have properties of a developed country like you will have big poultries, farms and others are also present. Wheat cultivation is also seen here. Is it fine? So just see, US has exploited prairies completely. But when it comes to Argentina and all, not exploited completely. Okay, so you will have mix of it. And then if you see Australia, you might have seen Drakensberg mountains and all. Yes. So have you heard of high veld? Veld. So in South Africa, you have veld, high veld. So maize is predominantly grown in this region. Okay, then you have some mountains present here in Australia. You have some mountains present here. And if I divide Australia, right? If I divide Australia, the northern part is tropical. Southern part is temperate. Winds blow like this. And here winds blow like this. Due to this, what happens? This is your windward and this is your leeward. Here you have Australian savanna. And here you have downs. Okay, Australia has both grasslands, tropical and temperate as well. The tropical grassland is present in the tropical region on the leeward side of the Great Dividing Range. In the southern part, you have downs. Do you understand? So usually cattle is reared in Australian savanna, sheep is reared in downs. Wool and all is mostly present in the downs. Next, you have New Zealand. Do you recollect any grassland there? Canterbury. There also we observe more sheep than human beings. 1:25, 26 is the ratio of human beings to sheep in that region as well. Is this fine? Any other grassland left? Where is it? This region? Steppes? Which countries are present there, guys? If you don't know, at least tell me developed, least developed. When you don't know, it will be definitely developing or least developed. Correct. So nomadic herding is predominant. Where? In that region. Tribes. Lot of tribes are present. Usually from these deserts and all, the tribal community go in search of grazing. So you have, within this, you have nomadic herding also. You might have heard, from one place to another place. Transhumans, it is present. In India, you have Bakarwal community, Bakarwals and all. They are important sheep rearing nomadic herding community present in Jammu Kashmir region. From Jammu, they usually go to the Leh Ladakh region, mostly in search of grasses. And again they come back. Winter they come back to Jammu, right? Summer they go to this. So Jammu Kashmir has two capitals, winter capital and summer capital. Similarly, these people also move on for grasses, right, during that time. Is this clear? Yes? First, let's finish off with the world and then I'll talk about India. India doesn't take much time. So guys, we covered 0 to 30, 30 to 45, 45 to 60. Above 60 in the northern hemisphere, you have tundra, and below 60 in the southern hemisphere, you don't have land. So because of which you don't find anything much in the southern hemisphere. Northern hemisphere, you have tundra climate. But we observe that the continental shelf is predominantly present in the Arctic zones. Like, Canada, if you see the continental shelf, you can recollect continental shelf and slope. Yes, continental shelf is predominantly present in Canada, predominantly present with Scandinavian countries and Siberia. Remember, whenever you have continental shelf, there is a possibility of huge deposits, sedimentary deposits and all. And this can also lead to fishes. So best fishing grounds at earlier, once it can be this, and now as it is completely ice covered, and because of climate change they are melting, it is believed that one of the world's largest oil and natural gas is present in the Arctic zone. You understand why? Continental shelf. You might be aware that 200 nautical miles, right, is our exclusive economic zone, correct? But if the continental shelf is more than 200 nautical miles, usually continental shelf will be considered as the exclusive economic zone. So if continental shelf is 500, then exclusive economic zone is also 500 nautical miles. It is believed that Siberia has, that is Russia has, around 1000 nautical miles of continental shelf. Some people say it's beyond 1000. The reason for it is it was glaciation has led to closure of most of the land. Multiple theories are there, no need to enter. But is this clear? Tundra region? Yes. Antarctic also, it is believed. You know that Antarctic is a continent. It's not a sea. When we talk about Arctic, it's an ocean. When we talk about Antarctic, it's continent. There is, a high possibility you will have lot of oil and natural gas. But the world community has said that, you cannot have this. You cannot start extracting resources in this. So that's why that is exempted. But Arctic, through Arctic Council, now countries are willing to extract. So I want you to know, I'll come to the minerals, especially oil and natural gas. But first important thing, let's quickly see what are the crops we want. Can you tell where will you have, right, nomadic herding predominantly present in the world? Nomadic herding. First, can I say they are usually present in the tropical region, especially dry regions within the tropical? Yes, wherever you have deserts, wherever you have tropical grasslands, dry regions, usually nomadic herding will be seen. Hunting and food gathering, where do you usually observe? Wherever you have evergreen forests. The evergreen forests are present in two regions. One is equatorial evergreen forest, another one is moist or wet evergreen forest present in marine type of climate. These are the two regions we find what we call as hunting and food gathering. Third important thing, shifting cultivation. Where do you find shifting cultivation? Again the same regions. Wherever people do not know how to do agriculture, they go for hunting and food gathering. Whoever knows well, what do? They go for shifting cultivation. Then you get third most important thing, that is monsoon type of climate. Where, can you tell where is paddy grown in the world? Paddy, what are the two conditions for paddy normally? Temperature and rainfall. So normally where is it grown? It is grown in the equatorial, it is grown in the tropical, marine climate, tropical, monsoon climate. I don't want you to generalize by saying that it is present in the tropical climate. You will not score marks for that. You will score marks if you say eastern, equatorial region, eastern part of the continents, and also monsoon type of climate. Because will you find paddy in the tropical grasslands? Will you find paddy in tropical grasslands? Tropical campos, llanos, savanna and all. Can you grow paddy? Why? Not much rainfall. Can you grow in deserts? Where are deserts and grasslands present? Western side, correct? So your answers have to be specific. Whenever you say paddy, equatorial, eastern side of the continents, and what we call monsoon type of climate. Within monsoons, you have two types of monsoons, tropical and temperate. Is paddy grown in both types? Yes. So, three conditions for paddy cultivation: equatorial, marine climate, monsoon climate. Is this fine? So, when I taught you, I showed 30 separately, 30 to 45 separately. But when you write answer, it has to be together. That is, you have to write the paddy cultivation there as well. Where do you have sugarcane? Sugarcane across the tropical region, right? Marine climate, evergreen, same. Wherever paddy is grown, in the similar condition, sugarcane also can be grown. Where do you have cotton? So can I say cotton is grown in equatorial? Is cotton grown in equatorial? So where is it grown? Okay, I'll ask you. Is cotton grown in marine climate? Okay, I'll ask you. Is cotton grown in Kerala? Why? Marine means you will have oceanic influence where rainfall will be there mostly throughout the season. So it's not beneficial. So it's not grown in equatorial. It's not grown in marine. So where is it grown? Leeward side of the mountains also, where you have predominantly dry climate. So can I say, like, grasslands are actually better? Tropical grasslands are usually better. In India, do you have any grassland? Globally, if you take, in India, do you have any grassland? Have you read about Köppen classification of India? Where do you have grassland? So the leeward side, that is Telangana, Rayalaseema, North Karnataka, right? Eastern Maharashtra, Lower Madhya Pradesh. I showed you the V shape, Vindhyas. That is known as Indian savanna. In the world, it is known as Indian savanna. If here we call it as grasslands, it is Indian savanna. You have Australian savanna, you have Indian savanna. Usually on the leeward side, cotton is grown. This is fine. Wherever you have dry climates, temperature should be more, so it is not grown in the temperate climate. So cotton is a tropical climate, but not grown in equatorial region, not grown on the eastern